Welcome to ARPA-E University. Thanks for joining us today. ARPA-E University is an executive education webinar series that provides the energy technology community with expert insight and practical information to help transition innovations into the marketplace. ARPA-E University offers webinars in 3 distinct categories: technology, technology to market, and office hours. Technology webinars feature deep dives into specific energy technologies. Technology to market webinars discuss salient topics in commercialization, such as licensing your technology, effective negotiating, and navigating IP strategy. Finally, office hours webinars offer guidance and expertise on a broad range of topics from ARPA-E program directors and our leadership team. Today's edition of ARPA-E University is an office hours session focused on the ARPA-E funding process. Slides from this presentation will be made available for download on the ARPA-E website. My name is Rohlfing. I'm the Deputy Director for Technology at ARPA-E, and today I'm going to tell you about the funding process. And what I'll be talking about today is a little bit of background on the agency and how we developed focused technology programs, and then some tips and pointers on how to write strong funding applications. The ARPA-E mission is to catalyze and support the development of transformational high-impact energy technologies. There are 3 main pillars of that mission. One is reducing imported energy, improving energy efficiency, and reducing emissions, notably greenhouse gases. Those 3 pillars help us ensure America's national security, economic security, energy security, and keep a technological lead in the energy sector. ARPA-E is a relatively young agency, just a little over 5 years old. It was authorized in the America Competes Act back in 2007. First funded in 2009 under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, providing $400 million to jumpstart the agency. Since that time, up to date, we've invested over $1 billion in U.S. taxpayer funds and 375 projects. The pie chart on the right shows the funding distribution of the projects we've supported so far by lead institution. 35% universities, it's roughly a third, 1/3 universities, a third small businesses, and a third large businesses, national labs, and nonprofits. I should mention that this funding distribution was not arrived at a priori. It was something that came out of the competitive process, and I'll explain a little bit about our competitive process later, but it was not pre-selected. This is just the way the award distribution has turned out. ARPA-E's intent is to fund disruptive approaches to innovation. So if you think about energy technology in particular, and you think about how we advance, typically we think in a cost performance kind of learning curve where existing technology is moving down some curve as shown here, reducing costs or improving performance in a very important way. As a function of time, and that's often associated with the scale of the technology and its application. But that's not what ARPA-E is intended to do. ARPA-E is intended to fund potentially transformative or disruptive research. And so our approach is to set very aggressive targets and goals that have the potential to disrupt current technologies and displace them, but in fact will typically start in the cost performance kind of basis at a much higher place, which is indicated by these curves on the upper left. And we take very high risk, potentially high return shots on goal. And so many of those projects will fail, will not achieve their goals, but we hope that many of them get to the point of that crossover point where the technology has the potential to be disruptive. Of course, simple 2-dimensional curve is just one way of representing a very complex environment, and there are many things that lead to potential for disruptive technology. But the point of this is that we are very aggressive in setting our targets, our performance targets, and the intention is that if those are achieved, they will be potentially disruptive technologies. To date, ARPA-E has invested in 375 energy technology projects across 20 focused programs and 2 open solicitations. We bin our technologies into 2 very large bins, transportation energy and stationary energy, but those bins aren't mutually exclusive. There are many projects and programs that span both of those bins. We pride ourselves in coming up with clever acronyms. You can be the judge of whether you think these acronyms are clever or not. I'm not going to explain them all to you because, frankly, I can't remember what they all stand for. The programs listed here are in various stages of development. Some are wrapping up and winding down. For example, IMPACT, our carbon capture technology program, is winding down. BEAST is one of our first battery energy storage programs, is winding down. And others are brand new to the portfolio, such as REBELS, an intermediate temperature fuel cell program, FOCUS, which is a unique combination of high temperature photovoltaic and thermal energy conversion for distributable and dispatchable solar energy generation. I want to take a few minutes to talk about how we develop focus programs at ARPA-E. It's important that you understand the process, which is modeled after DARPA. And much like DARPA, that process begins with program directors. So we pay very close attention to recruiting the best and brightest program directors who come to us with the idea that they will innovate and develop program concepts. So the program directors come knowing that they have to develop a program concept for one or more focused technology programs. They conceive of the idea, the vision. They do that in concert with the agency and with other program directors. They engage the community extensively as their concept for a program is developing. That usually culminates with a workshop, by invitation only workshop, which we use to gauge not only the interest of the community, but more importantly, the viability of the proposed program and its technical targets. The program director then engages in a pitch process by which he or she pitches the program concept to the group of fellow program directors and leadership of the agency. If that pitch is successful, the program is approved. Then we issue the stage where you, potential applicants, would be interested, which is the funding opportunity development and issuance. So we issue a funding opportunity. The funding opportunity, as I explain a little bit later, comes in two steps. The first is a concept paper phase. We accept concept paper phases, we have them reviewed, and then we provide either an encouragement to a full application or a discouragement of a full application. We then receive full applications. We again go through a merit review process of those full applications. That includes a rebuttal process wherein the comments from the review process are sent to the applicant, and the applicant has a chance to rebut the review comments. Then projects are selected and established, and we enter into a phase of contract negotiation for the awards. Somewhat unique to ARPA-E, I think, is the fact that we don't just, when we announce project selection, that does not mean you're awarded. We have to go through a negotiation phase. That negotiation phase often resets the technical milestones and deliverables from the proposal, establishes quarterly basis for those milestones and deliverables. Then in the execution phase of each project, we go through an ongoing technical review where we assess the progress against the milestones in each project on a quarterly basis. That includes on-site visits, WebEx kind of reviews, whatever, eventually leading to a project handoff and a transition toward market adoption. Since the emphasis of this webinar is on kind of the application and funding process, I'm not going to talk a lot about the technology to market phase. That's a very important phase of what ARPA-E does, another unique attribute of the agency. But what I'm concentrating on today is really the front part of that is applying for funding and how we evaluate applications and establish awards. So we think about programs, and when we think about programs, we ask program directors to put them in the context of these framing questions, which are somewhat shamelessly borrowed from the DARPA Heilmeyer questions that came from DARPA in the mid-70s. They're typically easily posed questions, but not so easily answered questions. What is the problem to be solved, simply stated? How does the program complement other R&D efforts, particularly within DOE, other federal agencies, or the private sector? What are the program goals specifically, and how will progress toward those goals be measured? What happens at the conclusion of the program? A very heavy emphasis on ARPA-E is the potential for commercialization of the technologies we develop. So what are the barriers to commercialization, and how might those be overcome? What research communities need to be brought together? We are looking for the best possible teams. That often involves multiple disciplines and multiple institutions that span, say, universities and small startup companies, or national laboratories and universities. Why is now the right time to solve the problem? What is it about advancements in science that make it the right time to take on this challenge? What's the current state of the R&D, and how is what you're proposing transformative and disruptive? And if successful, how will the proposed program impact one or more of ARPA-E's mission areas that I mentioned at the start of the presentation? And put more simply, that last question is really, if it works, will it matter? This is a question that we ask our program directors to answer all the time when they're proposing a program. If this program meets its objectives, what will the impact be at a significant level of impacting either reducing our energy imports, emissions, or improving energy efficiency? So I've just spent some time telling you about how ARPA-E develops and solicits applications in our focus technology programs. We have another mechanism by which we seek transformational energy technologies, and those are in open solicitations. We ran an open solicitation when the agency began in 2009, and another one in 2012. That gives us the opportunity to sample the full range of energy technologies over a broad and very rich distribution. In Open 2012, we wound up with 66 projects in the areas you see here, some of which are, related to the focus technology programs for sure, but others are very different. And that's one of the reasons why we want to continue to run open solicitations. And we plan on running an open solicitation in 2015 following the fiscal year appropriation. Please stay tuned for that. Watch our website for that funding opportunity, which we will release as soon as we possibly can. So, kind of summarizing what makes a successful ARPA-E project, it's the impact, it's the transformational potential, it's very importantly a bridge from science to breakthrough technology. We support very much applied research that develops technology, but it's at the prototype stage for sure, and we look for a team of best-in-class people that very often is coming from different backgrounds and different disciplines. So now I want to transition into our top 5 tips for writing a winning proposal. If you follow these tips, I cannot actually guarantee that you will get an award, but you will be competitive for an award. So let me just leave it at that. So I'm going to go through these each in detail. The first one is read the funding opportunity announcement. So the funding opportunity announcement is the mechanism by which we solicit applications for new technologies. Funding opportunity announcements in ARPA-E are very important because they describe the motivation for the program objectives, the technical categories of interest, and the technical performance targets. And as I mentioned earlier, we strive to be very aggressive in setting the targets, the objectives and the targets in our FOAs. And the reason we do that is we want to be disruptive. We want to push the community very hard to come to us with truly innovative ideas for new energy technology. And so it's very important that applicants read the funding opportunity announcement, and then the next step is to read it again even more carefully. A lot of thought and energy, a lot of analysis and thoughtfulness goes into developing these funding opportunities. The technical categories and their performance targets are very clearly thought out, and they're very, we intend people to try to hit those targets. And so it's very important to read the FOA very carefully. The second aspect and the second tip that I want to cover is demonstrate impact. How does your technology relate to the ARPA-E mission problems? What mission areas, what problem are you trying to solve? And again, that comes back to the question of not will it work, but if it works, will it matter? So let me give you an example of do's and don'ts of demonstrating impact. Okay, you have a technology, happens to be based on innovative diapers. Hydrogel-based super biodegradable diapers. And so you come to us saying, look, exposing this diaper to UV light activates ability to fully dissolve in water, 30 seconds versus 300 years of biodegradation for conventional diapers. We're going to save 18 billion diapers a year from entering U.S. landfills. That's wonderful, but it doesn't address an ARPA-E mission. If you are applying to the EPA or something, great, but it's not ARPA-E. So if instead you said, what we're proposing is a carbon-reducing biocatalyst for human waste, and this novel carbon-reducing biocatalyst reduces human waste to pure carbon and water, it acts as a carbon sink, and potentially helps store a gigaton of carbon per year, that is an ARPA-E mission area. Now, this example might seem a little bit trivial, but trust me, we get many, many very innovative technology ideas that simply don't matter to the energy problems that we're trying to address. So it's very important, especially as you read a funding opportunity in a focused area, that you make sure that the technology you want to propose is a good fit for the impact we want to achieve. The third point on writing strong proposals is to describe the technology. That might seem like a simple statement to make, but it's not as easy as it sounds. So how does it work? Describe it with as little jargon as you can muster. What's new in your approach and why do you think it will be successful? So let me give you an example of do's and don'ts in terms of describing technology. Okay, you develop flexible, energy efficient time travel. And in your application you say this is 10 times more efficient time travel than anything to date. It leverages novel proprietary technology that I'm not going to tell you anything more about. It's validated a proof of concept, and we've got Nobel laureates on our advisory panel. Well, wonderful, but that's too vague. It doesn't have any specific content, and therefore neither we nor our reviewers can evaluate it. By contrast, if you say the next generation flux capacitor is based on proprietary hafnium alloy as the key enabling technology, capacitor placement with metallic vehicle body, et cetera, with references. Time travel requires 1.2 gigawatts of electrical power, allows 10 times efficiency gain, and is validated by data in Table 3. That is very specific. It backs up your claims. Let me make a point in this regard is that information contained in applications can be marked as proprietary and is protected. So you need to tell us all the details so that we can make evaluation. We promise we will protect your data and information if it's proprietary. Compare to the state of the art is the fourth pointer. How is it done today? Why are today's solutions insufficient? How does your solution represent a dramatic improvement? In the context of focused technology funding opportunities, we will have set very aggressive targets based on what we believe will be transformative and a dramatic solution. But it's still incumbent upon you as the applicant to compare to the current state of the art and to compare how your proposed technology will meet the targets that we have set. And the last pointer is to identify challenges and solutions. What is the challenge to developing your specific technology? Why is it hard? And what approaches will you take to overcome these challenges? In essence, what are the key technological risks and how will you mitigate them? Why should we fund you? Provide key insight and unique approach to solve a problem where others have failed. Let me make a final remark on Pedigree, which is to say that we really don't care who you are, whether you're a Nobel Prize winner or a founder of a tiny startup company. What we're really looking for is the quality of your idea. And if you're really good, let it show through in the quality of your proposal. I think that's reflected in our distribution of awardees based on lead institution. We fund a lot of small companies because they're coming to us with really innovative and creative ideas. So don't be shy about applying. We don't care who you are. We're looking for the quality of your idea. So to summarize the top 5 tips, read the funding opportunity at least once. Actually read it 4 or 5 times because we spent a lot of time and effort. We really want you to pay attention to why we are setting the aggressive targets and goals that we have. Make sure that your technology fits that. Don't try too hard to fit a square peg into a round hole. If your technology is not appropriate for the targets that were set, don't try to force it. demonstrate impact, describe your technology clearly, compare to the state of the art, identify challenges and solutions. I want to say one more thing about concept papers and full applications. I alluded to these in the process. When we release a funding opportunity, the first thing we ask for is concept papers. These are limited in size. They're typically 4 pages. In those 4 pages, you need to summarize your concept very succinctly, very quickly. You need to describe the innovation impact, the proposed work, and the team organization and capabilities in a very compact and compressed form. We provide a template for concept papers that I strongly urge you to use. The template contains motivations and prompt questions that we have thought rather carefully about in terms of how they're structured. And if you answer those questions and follow those bulletized points, you will be providing the information that we as an agency really value in assessing your concept paper. I can't stress enough how important it is to be very clear and concise in your concept paper. You only have 4 pages to make an impression, so you don't have much space to do it. Full applications, on the other hand, is when you have 30 pages of a technical section. There you can go into great detail on the description of the proposed technology, the work plan, and the budget, including detailed justification of how the proposed technology will meet the funding opportunity technical targets. Again, we provide a template. The template in the full application case is a little more openly structured, and you can adjust how you want to use it. But again, there are prompt questions and bullets on those templates that are very, very useful in preparing your application. Okay, so that winds up the webinar on the funding process and how to write winning proposals. Let me just mention that ARPA-E offers other resources. Probably most important of those are the ARPA-E University and the annual Energy Innovation Summit. Let me also finish by pointing out that the 2015 Annual Energy Innovation Summit will take place February 9th through 11th in 2015 in Washington, D.C. For more information, please see the website listed there. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the pointers on how to write a winning application. As I said earlier, I make no guarantees that you will win an award if you follow these pointers, but you will be competitive. Thanks very much.